Hi everyone, welcome to Erin's Tasty Heritage, second dinner of the pantry challenge, and we have, I was able to get one last Frick's ham, and I have just a little bit left that I haven't already put into the freezer, and our fearless leader had a work dinner tonight, and so I am going to do breakfast. I have a cinnamon toast, raisin bread, bread pudding in the oven that's about to come out, and I will go over how I do that when I pull it out. But I want to start with biscuits and getting the ham into the cast iron skillet. I have had a weekend full of canning, and then today I finished a cranberry. I had a bag of cranberries, and then I had a bag of, or a 4-pound bag of tri-berries, raspberries, blackberries, and strawberries. And so I wanted to get that canned into jelly. So I did that today. So over the weekend, we got so much canned, and I think I've already posted those videos, yes. So, and then last night I did cherry pie filling, and then made a cherry galette out of the extra. I got 7 jars of cherry pie filling, so I was able to put 6 up, which is so exciting. And so anyway, I've got 2.5 cups of einkorn flour with a tablespoon of baking powder, a tablespoon of sugar, and a teaspoon of salt. And then I've got 6 to 8 tablespoons of butter that I've cut up into the flour. And now I am going to pour in about 1.25 cups of buttermilk. I was actually out of buttermilk, and I didn't want to go to the store, so I just put 2 tablespoons of vinegar into the milk and just made buttermilk. How many of you have gotten is there anyone out there that has gotten the buttermilk powder off of Amazon or Azure Standard? I'm thinking maybe I should do that because I don't always have fresh, or I don't always have buttermilk in the house, and sometimes you need it. Okay. Got those stirred up. I'll let that sit. You can see all the canning stuff and everything's in the kitchen. Wait, I got everything picked up, but it gets that way at dinner time, right? Okay, so I'm going to take the ham. I've preheated the skillet. Oh, something popped. I preheated the skillet, and oh, y'all. So this bread pudding breakfast, or breakfast casserole, oh, it's so yummy. That looks so good. I got off track. Okay, so I've got the skillet preheated here, and I'm going to just put that in there and I kind of cut the ham like steaks. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. That Frick's ham is, it's a smoked ham, and we were able to get one for Christmas, and then after, I think it was actually January 2nd, I was at a H-E-B, and they had the hams on sale, so I was able to get one more. Okay, I'm going to turn my heat down. and let that. Now, if it were just me eating breakfast, I would make red-eyed gravy with this. But my kids are not crazy about red-eyed gravy. So I'm just gonna, I've got the heat turned down. I'm gonna render some of the fat out of the ham. And then I'm gonna add baking, some saved bacon grease and a touch of butter and make a gravy out of that. Because we're gonna get back to our biscuits. I'm just going to carry you over here. Oh my goodness, that breakfast casserole. So, or it's, I actually call it cinnamon raisin French toast bake. It's just a loaf of challah bread. So it's just a challah bread, and I'm actually going to cube that one up and put it in the freezer. So that on another quick night I can whip this up. You can also make it as a dessert. If you need a quick dessert, this makes a great little dessert with like a whiskey sauce. Would be delicious. Anyway, so it's very simple. It is just you cube your bread up, and it doesn't have to be challah bread. It can be any kind of bread. You're just gonna cube that up and fill your buttered 9x13 dish, and then it is 4.5 cups of milk, 3 eggs, let me get my recipe. Oh no. Okay. I did a 1/4 cup of brown sugar and a 1/4 cup of white sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, and then I did 2 lugs of vanilla. And then, let's see, I already said 4.5 cups of milk, 3 eggs. You butter your 9x13 dish, and then I cover it with foil for the first 30 minutes and then remove it and cook it for another 30 minutes. So it cooks for an hour at 350 in the oven. And I'll put all of that in the description below. But it is definitely great. Now, what I will do with this is I will, once we're getting ready to serve, I will shake powdered sugar over it. So, and then if they want to put pancake syrup over it, they can, but it's fine. Just like this. Hello. All right, and so let's get back to the biscuits. So I let those sit just for a minute. Actually, I want to check the ham. So I'm just turning the ham over. Okay. So I've added a little bit of flour here, and then I've got the einkorn, so it is a little bit sticky. So I kind of get my hands in the flour, because you will get flour on you. Okay, and so then I'm just going to pat that down. And I just use my clean hands, and you just pat it down. Make sure you have a good floured surface, and then I fold it in thirds, and then I turn that over, and I pat it down, And then I fold that into thirds. And then I turn it over and I fold that into thirds. And that's I just fold it 3 times. And then I turn it over, and this time I will cut them. So I just take my little biscuit cutter. You can use a glass. You can use all different, whatever you use to cut your biscuits with. Or if you have biscuits in the freezer. I am hoping to have a day, maybe tomorrow. I'm wanting to make some biscuits like this and then freeze them and then see how they bake up once they're frozen. Because if I could make several batches of these and have them in the freezer, it would be so nice. On nights like tonight, I wouldn't have even had to do this. I could have just pulled out from the freezer. Okay. And so then I just take my leftovers and fold it back to kind of make and then and then this last one I just form into a biscuit. Okay. And I kind of keep mine not too close, but as they rise, they will touch, or as they bake, they will form. I'll show you when I pull them out, but I kind of keep them close, but not too close. So these will go in a 400-degree oven for about 12 minutes, and we will be back. On those biscuits, I wanted to say, sometimes I don't have buttermilk, or I may not even have milk. I may only have half and half or cream. And in that case, I just use what I have. It's just, you just need the liquid to be able to make your dough. So if a recipe calls for buttermilk and you don't have it, and you don't have vinegar or anything like that to make your own buttermilk, you can just use plain milk. You can use cream, half and half. You don't have to, doesn't have to happen that way. Although I know we would like for it to happen that way. Like usually I don't know if you all noticed, but I usually use a 1.25 cups of buttermilk, but I did 1.25 cups of milk and I added the vinegar. Well, I should have just done a cup of milk and added, so my biscuits, all of that to say, my biscuits were just a little bit too wet, so I had to add a little bit of flour to them to get them back to the right consistency. So sometimes you do have to bake do, especially when you are doing a pantry challenge and you're not going to the grocery store. And so I think that's kind of what's so fun about this, is we're able to see how everybody else kind of does in their kitchen, in their environment, and then you know that you're not alone. You're not the only one who runs out of buttermilk, or who adds too much liquid to their biscuits. Let's make some gravy. All right. Trying to move y'all around. Okay, so I've pulled my cast iron off of the burner and am just using a wooden spoon to scrape the brown bits off of the bottom of the pan. And now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. And I already added 2 tablespoons of bacon grease. So I have 4 tablespoons in the cast iron. So whenever you're making a gravy, you always do the same amount of flour that you do to butter or oil. And so since I have 4 tablespoons, I'm going to do 4 tablespoons of flour. And I've taken it off the burner because I know that the pan is a little too hot and I don't want to put my flour in a screaming hot pan. So I'm kind of letting it cool down while I let that butter melt and get those brown bits from the ham off of the bottom of the pan. This is a new cast iron, and I am still getting it seasoned real well. It always takes me a few times because it's brand new. And I watched a video today about, because it was a little rough, and they were saying that you can sandpaper it, but I had never heard that before, so I'm not sure if I want to do that or not. But it is in the process of being seasoned. It's only, this is, I think, the 3rd time I've baked it, and then I pulled it out just a minute ago, so, but those brown bits are coming off for sure. Okay, so I'm going to add it back to the heat, and I'm going to get my flour. And so then I just kind of sprinkle a little bit of the flour into the pan. So the butter, I think there's the butter right there. So it's not totally melted yet. And I'm just gonna stir the flour and the butter together. Now this is einkorn flour that I have, so I need to switch to my, I have this whisk from Pampered Chef. I absolutely love it. It's actually my second one. The first one I had lasted a good 8 years, and it just recently, the nylon just recently came off, and so it was wire, and I don't like to use the wire on my non-stick pans. Even on my iron skillet, I like to not use the iron. So anyway, so back to einkorn. So einkorn flour, it you have to really work it in. White flour seems to kind of dissolve and incorporate really easily. With the einkorn, you have to whisk it and get the clumps out. They do come out, and it is super easy to work with. It's just, that was something I learned from using the einkorn. Okay, so it's kind of bubbling. Let's see if you can, I don't know if you can see that. See how it's bubbling and foaming up? So I'm gonna let that do that for just a few more, just a minute. I'm gonna let it do it 1 minute to 2 minutes, just to cook out that flour. Now, what I will do at this point in time is add pepper. So let me get that. Okay, so I added just a little bit of pepper, and that has now turned a little bit of a golden roux almost. And so I'm now gonna add 2 cups of milk. And I just whisk the whole time that I'm pouring it in. You don't have to pour slowly. You do want your skillet or the pan that you are cooking the gravy in to be medium-high heat so that it will thicken. Okay? And then I use this whisk for every sauce I make. I love this whisk. Totally recommend getting it. Okay, so at this point, the milk has heated up just a little bit, and you can I can feel it thickening on the bottom with the whisk. And so at this point, I will taste for salt. And it does need salt. I never know when I use the baking grease. I don't know why, but it seems like it's different every time. So I always wait until it's just a little thicker to taste it. So I'm gonna reach around you and grab my salt. And I'm just gonna do 2 good pinches. And you can see it thickening up. So breakfast is what's for dinner. Funny story, tonight was gonna be Manwich Monday night, or Manwich Monday, but when our fearless leader called and said he had to go to this meeting, I was like, he doesn't like breakfast, let's have breakfast. So we're taking advantage. Plus, I made that jelly. I had just a little bit that didn't fit into the jars, and so I saved it so that some of us can put it on our jelly, on our biscuits. Okay. I think you all can see how gorgeous that looks. Now, let me show you what I do. Oh, there's our biscuits. I'm going to turn the heat off on the cast iron. Okay, our biscuits needed about 3 more minutes, so I've got the timer on those. And then what I do is now I just keep the heat off of the cast iron because the gravy is at the consistency that I want, and I'm going to show you that. So I use a spoon to stir it with, and the bottom of my pan is super clean, yay. And so then I just get some. I'm going to come in and show you, and I just go down the middle. Oh, that's perfect. And see how it doesn't come together? So I know that it's the perfect consistency. But when you lick it, then you have to get a new one. All right, and so that is ready to go. I didn't make a whole lot of gravy, so we may not have extras, but that's okay. Gravy is easy for me to whip up in the morning if Gavin wants biscuits and gravy. They're easy for me to do. I am gonna try though making. I know I won't have enough today, but I am gonna try doing making a batch of biscuits and freezing them before I bake them, and then I also want to try par baking them and seeing how that works as well. So that's something that I have in my recipe development chore list. So I am so excited about these pantry challenge meals. We are having so much fun. Tomorrow night is Gavin's night, and he has chosen a hamburger from Guy Fieri's cookbook that has macaroni and cheese and bacon on it. So that's going to be a very interesting and fun night around the table. We're going to have lots of conversation with how macaroni and cheese tastes on a hamburger. I know he likes it because when we go to Branson and we go to Guy Fieri's restaurant, he always orders the macaroni and cheese hamburger. So he was excited when his sister said she had that cookbook. Let's see. Let me check the biscuits so you can see how beautiful they look. Oh my goodness. One thing's for certain with these pantry challenge meals, y'all are going to see that sometimes I am a very messy cook. But hey, that means it's really delicious, right? Okay, let me show you. Oh my goodness. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Now I have called the kiddos in to make their plates, And we did have some extra Christmas party paper plates that I thought we could use tonight to save on cleanup. It was delicious.